Here's a harsh truth, a reality that often hides in the shadows of global events. It's a truth that challenges our perceptions of conflict and power. For some, war isn't a tragedy, it's a business, a calculated game of profit and loss where human lives are reduced to mere numbers on a spreadsheet. It's a chilling perspective, but one that we must confront. While we see devastation, the heartbreaking images of shattered lives and ruined cities, others, far removed from the front lines, see only profit margins and quarterly gains. They see opportunities for growth amidst the rubble. Peace doesn't boost weapon stocks, it stagnates them. Peace doesn't create billion-dollar contracts, fueling the engines of industry and lining the pockets of the powerful. Conflict, though? That's a goldmine for defense contractors, a constant stream of revenue flowing from the battlefields to their bank accounts. It's a bonanza for oil magnates who control the lifeblood of modern warfare. And it's a boon for the politicians they bankroll, who shape policy to serve their interests. These power players don't just profit from chaos, they thrive on it. They cultivate it, nurture it, and ensure its continued existence. A stable world is less profitable. It offers fewer opportunities for exploitation and control. Chaos keeps the cash flowing, ensuring a constant return on their investments in conflict. Every missile, every drone, every tank is a payday for someone, a transaction in the grand marketplace of war. These groups have a vested interest, a financial stake in the perpetuation of conflict. They actively work to keep peace just out of reach, ensuring the continued demand for their products and services. A world without enemies would make their industry obsolete, their power would diminish, their influence would wane. And they'll do anything to prevent that, manipulating public opinion and influencing political decisions. So, when leaders call for war, for freedom, when they invoke noble ideals to justify bloodshed, ask who really benefits. Follow the money, and you'll find the true beneficiaries of conflict. It's rarely the ordinary citizen, the men and women who bear the brunt of war's devastation. It's the elite, the privileged few who profit from the suffering of the many, the shareholders of destruction, the silent partners in the business of war. For them, war isn't inevitable. It's not a tragic necessity. It's a lucrative racket, a carefully orchestrated scheme to enrich themselves at the expense of humanity, and we're all paying the price, both in dollars and in lives. How do they sell this racket? With their most powerful weapon, the media. Not all media, but enough to shape the story. They don't just report, they frame, sanitize, and spin. Invasion becomes special operation. Civilian deaths become collateral damage. These words numb us, making horror seem routine. The media crafts a simple tale. We're heroes, they're villains. Disinformation and selective outrage keep us confused and compliant. The result? Consent is manufactured. Dissent is silenced, and war rolls on with minimal resistance. It's the ultimate sleight of hand. Let's tour the world's hotspots. In Ukraine, war is tragedy, but also a geopolitical jackpot. Russia spins it as patriotic glory, Western defense stocks soar, and NATO budgets balloon. North Korea's parades aren't just for show, they control the population and justify global military spending. China's moves in the South China Sea spark an arms race, fueling profits for shipbuilders and tech giants on all sides. Everywhere, the pattern repeats: real suffering, but even bigger profits. Leaders decry violence, but the war economy hums along. The threat of conflict is simply too lucrative to end. Peace is bad for business. Who ultimately pays the price for war's devastation? It's certainly not the CEOs who profit from defense contracts, or the politicians who champion these conflicts from their safe distance. They remain largely untouched by the horrors they unleash. No, the true cost is tallied in human lives, in shattered families, and in futures stolen. It's the families forced to seek shelter in subways, huddled together in fear, praying for an end to the relentless bombardment. It's the young conscripts, barely more than children themselves, sent to die in a senseless struggle for power and resources. It's the vibrant cities reduced to smouldering rubble, monuments to a civilization undone by violence. War turns homes, once sanctuaries of love and laughter, into hollowed-out ruins, haunted by memories. And it transforms ordinary people into desperate refugees, forced to abandon everything they know, and love. Millions flee their homelands, seeking safety and solace in a world that often turns a blind eye to their suffering. They face the constant threat of hunger, their bodies weakened and vulnerable. They are ravaged by disease, both physical and mental, and burdened by the invisible wounds of trauma. This isn't some abstract concept of collateral damage, a sanitized term used to distance us from the reality of war. It's the cold, calculated, and accepted price of profit, a sacrifice demanded by those who stand to gain the most. War deliberately destroys vital food supplies, leaving populations vulnerable and dependent. It creates artificial famine, weaponizing hunger as a tool of control and oppression. And it weaponizes fear, turning neighbor against neighbor and eroding the very fabric of society. Soldiers are used as pawns in a global game of chess, their lives expendable in the pursuit of power. They are discarded when their usefulness is over, left to grapple with physical and emotional scars. And they are often forgotten by the very nation they swore to protect, left to wander the streets alone and destitute. They are hailed as heroes in grand parades and medal ceremonies, their bravery celebrated in speeches and songs. But behind the facade of glory, they are left to suffer in silence, battling the demons of PTSD and the invisible wounds of war. Their sacrifice is glorified in monuments and memorials, their names etched in stone for eternity. But their pain, their trauma, their brokenness is hidden from view, swept under the rug of national pride. The true currency of war is not measured in dollars and cents, but in the blood spilled on battlefields and the tears shed by grieving families. And ultimately, the bill for this senseless violence is always paid by ordinary people, the innocent victims caught in the crossfire of greed and ambition. How do the powerful keep us trapped in this cycle? First, propaganda. Control the story, define the enemy, demand sacrifice. Second, surveillance. Monitor, intimidate, and chill dissent, east or west. Third, money. Wars are fought for resources, not ideals. Economic pressure keeps people compliant. Keep the public just comfortable enough to fear losing what little they have. Finally, symbols, flags, anthems, parades, tools to foster loyalty and silence criticism. These tools, propaganda, surveillance, money, symbols, form an invisible cage. Most don't even see the bars, but they're there, keeping us exactly where the powerful want us. Here's the final truth, the uncomfortable reality that many choose to ignore. The system isn't broken in some accidental way. It's meticulously working exactly as designed, according to a predetermined plan. Perpetual conflict, a state of constant unrest, is the carefully cultivated environment where the powerful thrive, consolidating their wealth and influence. They manage crises, carefully controlling the narrative, but never truly solve them, because endless problems, recurring issues mean endless profit streams for those at the top. Our fear, our manufactured division, and our cultivated ignorance are their greatest assets, the very foundation upon which their power is built. They've built a world, a carefully constructed reality, where the house always wins, and ultimately they own the house, controlling every aspect of the game. We're constantly told that war is inevitable, a necessary evil, while the pursuit of peace is dismissed as naive, idealistic, and ultimately unattainable. But the very first step to creating real change is seeing through the illusion, recognizing the deception, question the dominant narrative, challenge the accepted truths, relentlessly follow the money, trace the flow of capital, and always recognize the devastating human cost of these systems. Our cage, the one that confines us, isn't actually locked. We simply have to open our eyes and truly see it for ourselves. Real power, the kind that can change the world, ultimately belongs to those willing to look beyond the carefully crafted story we're constantly being sold.